There's just so much more to hear.
Download our podcasts at DubaiI1038.com.
We're talking drones now. Rabi Bourashid is the Managing Director of Falcon Eye Drones here in the UAE, and he's with us in the studio. Rabi, good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning, guys. Thank you for having me.
Now, you're here to talk about your predictions for drones in 2019 here in the UAE. You do a lot of work with the construction industry, mapping sites and progress reports. Yeah. Also, you do some sort of recreational drone with filming of events with drones. But first of all, we've got to ask you about the events overnight in London. Gatwick Airport shut for several hours, just reopened because of 2 rogue drones. What can the world do about rogue drones, Rabi?
There's a lot of things that are being prepared to mitigate this threat of drones. I mean, it has to be said first that illegal operation with any system, be it a car or a drone or a phone, anybody will always do something illegal. But in the future, most drones will be equipped with what we call a UTM, which is like a traffic management. So the drone could be monitored in advance. It would be tracked early on. And airport will be equipped with radars or drone detection softwares that will allow them to see that drones coming in advance. Different countries have different rules of how far can you operate from an airport. In the UAE, we have to be at least 5 kilometers away, otherwise it's an illegal operation. I think in the UK, as long as you're away about 1 kilometers and below 100 meters or 300, 400 feet, then it's okay to operate.
Does that completely close the door to mischievous drone flyers? Could you not operate on a completely different frequency, and disguise drones? I mean, there are ways to do it.
Yeah, of course. If you build your own drones at home and just, you have intentionally, you really want to fly into an airport and cause problems, somebody can always do that.
There's no answer yet to actually how you stop that.
There's no...
I mean, Richard mentioned there that sort of your business is largely industrial, and you have, for instance, mapped the route of the RAC zipline.
Yeah.
It's obviously ideal for something like that over rough terrain, and also for surveying and for building work and surveys. Is that the vast majority of the work that you do here?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Geographical information system, surveying, mapping, all that stuff is the biggest use of drones today internationally. So about probably 70% of every commercial flight is towards surveying or mapping in some sort. So we do that a lot here across the region. So most of the GCC countries we have operation in now. But even on an international level, this is the most use of drones today.
And what about for construction? Are people looking at bits of buildings they can't see otherwise?
Yeah, well, with construction, drones bring an extra tool for monitoring. So it used to be really hard to monitoring a site without... you don't have that bird eye view that is easily attainable. So on large construction site, you had to have a helicopter, for instance, to just get this view. And now, it's, as you know, drones are fairly inexpensive. You can fly it all day long, up and down, regular basis. So construction monitoring becomes a very indispensable tool. It saves the construction industry a lot of money. Monitoring allows them to have that view, allows them to detect faults earlier. So instead of waiting for the site to finish or a laser scan or whatever, you have a drone reporting on a weekly basis telling you what's going on, and that is GIS or a survey grade, so it can be compared with their blueprints to see if everything's on track, everything's being built where it should be. So construction is one of the biggest beneficiaries of these technologies, and we think eventually it might be mandatory in the future to have a drone monitoring every construction site.
So clearly, it's a growth industry at the moment, and you've tapped into this. You're one of, if not the market leader in the UAE. What kind of growth rates have you seen in your revenue in 2018?
2018 over last year is actually 300% from last year.
300% growth in revenue 2018. There are not a lot of companies in the UAE who've seen that.
2018, yeah. And we're predicting 200% for next year.
So you'll triple next year, you think?
We're hoping so, yeah.
So one of the things that you say you're going to be doing differently or better in 2018 to fuel that growth is using artificial intelligence or applying artificial intelligence. It's a great buzzword, and we all like throwing AI around. In practical terms, how is AI going to help you, and I guess more importantly, your clients?
All right. Yeah, like you said, AI have different meanings now. So for us, we rely on AI for automatic feature extractions. So when we're doing inspections on a large scale, today we rely on human engineers to collect this data and detect faults in images. where AI can be trained to automatically detect, let's say I'm inspecting power lines and I'm looking for rust or cracks or missing bolts or so on. So we can train a software to automatically detect all these faults. So we can start feeding it terabytes of data, and we can get that a lot faster than relying on a human eye and so on.
Do you have to get your images approved? I mean, we obviously hear quite a lot about drone hobbyists,
Yes.
for instance, quite a lot under strict instructions not to capture recognizable images of people on the ground. How do you avoid that pitfall with the ultra high definition video and still capture?
Most of our work is not in urban areas. So if we're flying over an urban area, per se, for surveying, for instance, there's the object detection isn't that clear. So obviously we cannot recognize humans, we cannot read car plates, we cannot see things from that is clear. And the bigger thing, most of our images, if we're flying over sensitive areas, is checked first by the government before.
So you do have
released.
a sensor for that?
Yeah, obviously we're using sensors, but if we're flying somewhere where it is a risk to public safety or privacy, then before anybody can see those images, they need to be approved.
I mean, up until relatively recently, the authorities here in the UAE have been traditionally sensitive about mapping.
Yeah.
There were no sort of high-definition ordnance survey maps.
Yes.
They've been hard to come by. But sort of, and colour copying of maps was even forbidden as recently as 10 years ago.
Yes.
I mean, have things really relaxed virtually overnight because of, say, Google Maps? And you know, a phone can do what ordnance maps used to be able to do.
Like you said, the trend was first satellite was a big no-no, and then they relaxed about it. Drones initially was absolutely not allowed. You can't do this, but they've added some regulation to control it. So it's very much under control. As long as you're flying legally, there's always an observer. There's always somebody checking this, and it is relaxing a bit.
Well, one question slightly outside your field, really, is where does this leave drone hobbyists?
For hobbyists, one, there's fields for them to go operate. So in this part of the world, you cannot fly a drone with a camera and take pictures randomly. That's still not allowed. But there is specific fields. So there's a couple of hobby small land strips that they're allowed to go there whenever they want and just fly and operate.
Well, we had you in last December. It's lovely to have you back this December. We look forward to having you back next December, if not before. Rabibu Rashid, the Managing Director at Falcon Eye Drones. We do appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
There's just so much more to hear.
Download our podcasts at DubaiEye1038.com.